Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Cole.
And this is Two Chill Dudes.
And this week, Bangkok Dangerous.
So, it's about a hitman going to Bangkok for a last job.
Quadruple.
Yeah, like 4
shot.
target.
Which is kind of weird because he doesn't. That it's like all 4 are part of one contract.
Mm-hmm. Not like
Separate contracts, and then.
It just seems like it's a setup for being used, but whatever.
We get paid.
Well, actually, technically, I guess he didn't. Spoiler alert.
Like we ever use those.
Oh. I mean, we put it in the title of the video, so it's fine. So, this movie is boring and stupid at the same time.
I love Nick Cage movies, and this was
Definitely one of his worst.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a fun bad, it's just...
It had a really interesting, first 15, maybe 10 minutes, where they set everything up, and you're like, okay, this could be crap, or this could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing happened. And they didn't even stick to the character arc that they had started, and it just fell apart.
Yeah. The main character... Actually, I'm trying to...
Joe?
Was that his name, Joe?
Joe.
Maybe.
He says it at the start. It says it on the box. But,
they never refer to him by name
as far as I know, after that, his apprentice just calls him boss.
Mm-hmm. He's the only one that actually talks to him, I guess.
Yeah. Other than that, it's
And
the deaf girl. Who's deaf.
Selectively deaf. By the way.
Sorry. Not deaf. She's just selectively hearing.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that in a little bit. First, we'll talk about Joe, who starts out as a typical sociopathic hitman. He's got, his 4 rules. There is no such thing as right and wrong. Don't ask questions. Know when to get out, and never leave a trace. Of course, never leave a trace, meaning always kill your assistants after you've done your job, which is the first thing he does in the movie. But of course, the moment he goes into Bangkok,
he loses
he just drops
everything.
That. He just drops that entirely.
They start this relatively interesting character, with, it's a Nick Cage character, but it's not badly done, and I want to see where it goes. And then he gets to Bangkok, and instantly it's just rule number 1 broken, rule number 2 broken, rule number 3 broken.
And the reason behind it is, too, is he's thinking about killing his assistant, and then he's like, I looked in his eyes, and I saw myself. And that's why he decided to turn him into his student.
Oh, yeah.
From then on. It's that was his reason for dropping the whole emotional act.
Yeah,
So...
Did that happen before or after they introduced the deaf girl? I want to say after.
I want to say after as well.
Okay.
Because they introduced the deaf pharmacist girl, and they have their, what's called a meet cute in the script business. And it's basically when the protagonist has an awkward first meeting with their love interest. You'll notice it in a lot of movies.
After he brought it up for the first time, I'm like, oh, I never noticed that. Now I'm like, oh god, make it stop. Seriously, you need to stop bringing up writers' tropes, because they just... Now I'm going to be seeing yellow and blue everywhere.
Well, that's more a director's...
Of course, I already see yellow and blue everywhere in this movie.
Mm-hmm. he has the meet cute with this, that she's supposed to be deaf, but they have this one scene by the window where she's trying to explain that her name means rain.
And she can somehow understand him.
But
when he's like, oh, your name means rain.
And she nods her head, like she understands, like that's what Nick Cage says, and it turns out she's supposed to be deaf, so I don't know how she knew how he got it right. Just so many things wrong with this movie. But the other character we have is Kong, the
kind of henchman assistant
student.
Yeah, who
his first our first meeting of the characters that he's pickpocketing these other American tourists.
Yeah,
and that was the reason why Joe picked him, was because he's expendable. That's the thing, is like, because he kills all of his assistants, he's a pickpocket and an incredibly greedy, selfish pickpocket. That was his reason for picking him out, to be this, to be the expendable assistant at the end. But again, he gets a good look in his eyes and decides, oh, he's me, therefore I'm going to train him to be a hitman.
Yeah, just
so.
Kong gets attacked on the way back from retrieving a package one time, and he
looked in the case,
figured
out that Joe was supposed to, is a hitman.
Yeah, which is breaking Joe's rules they set up. He's like, don't look in the case. And for all his other rules, he's like, if you do this, I won't pay you. And for don't look in the case, he just said, don't look in the fucking case.
Mm-hmm.
So you know he's probably not going to just...
Well, the idea is, like, if he did look in the case and figure out what he was supposed to be, then he would have to kill him.
Yeah.
Which is what he was going to do.
Yeah. And he, instead, like, right as he's, like, holding the knife to his throat, he's like, please train me. And just gives him the puppy dog eyes, and he's like,
I've grown a conscience. I'm a hitman that has grown a conscience.
Just all of a sudden.
Just all of a sudden.
I don't know, at first they kind of made it out to be, I was kind of thinking that they were going for, like a regular guy that had trained himself to be a sociopath, and so that he could return to the real world when he's done, but they didn't go that route.
Yeah.
So it just ended up being a sociopathic killer who grows a conscience one day, and this is the story of the dumbest thing ever. Oh, God.
And the only other characters worth noting, I guess, are the antagonists.
Oh, no.
Well,
We're forgetting one more.
The dancer girl?
Yeah.
Who does nothing but hand over suitcases.
And get hit on. And get captured at one point.
Yeah.
She's not.
She did shit off.
So yeah, the antagonists.
Ooh.
Boy, were they some
menacing antagonists that did absolutely nothing until the end of the movie.
Yeah. Who followed Kong home, or followed Kong to Joe's to figure out who Joe was, and then when they fuck up and Joe figures out who they are, they're like, oh no, he figured out who we are.
Now we have to kill him even though we were...
now we have to kill him even though we were hiring him to kill these 4 other guys. Which... oh... You see, so little happens in this movie that I had completely forgotten that he actually killed 4 people.
Well, he killed 3, thought about the 4th one, And then he was...
And
because
then
that was Kong's part in the story, was telling him about good people and bad people.
Kong's whole reason was to allow him to break the first rule, which is there is no good or evil.
Yeah. So, but thanks to the magic of Bangkok, the hitman learns that there is such a thing as good and evil.
Because he's hired to assassinate a politician that everybody really likes.
Which is a first.
And, because Kong says, oh, he's a really nice guy, like you. And so, yeah, then he's like, right about to shoot him, and he looks around the crowd with his scope, and is like, oh, all these people are happy, I guess I can't kill him. And then they do a fake out, which...
Yeah, they had this weird-ass fake out where it looks like he pulls the trigger and kills the politician. And then he has a flashback of all his previous kills.
Not all of them, because they make it out to be like he's been doing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
But they only show like
a bunch of them.
4 kills plus the ones that have already happened in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And then it goes back and it's like, oh, it turns out he didn't shoot the guy even though it looked exactly like he pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
What makes this movie even worse is when you look into what the movie was based on. It's a remake of another movie, the same name, Bangkok Dangerous.
That isn't even that much older.
No, it's from the 2000s, and just for the basic premise itself, you can already tell that one is far superior. And it's basically the hitman was supposed to be the deaf mute. So just that alone just sounds so much more awesome than what they did here, because the deaf mute pharmacist didn't do anything.
So one thing I realized in this movie was how much like music and sound effects were stock, especially the music. I felt there were a number of points where I'm like, haven't I heard this song in every other movie I've ever watched?
Yeah, that's basically for generic sad music, generic tense music, generic action music, and if none of it is memorable in any way.
But it's beyond that. It's so unmemorable and so stock that I could clearly pick it out. I'm like, I have heard this song
from
many times before. There were a few of them, and it was. That's the first time that's ever happened to me.
Where you noticed the music.
Where I actually noticed something that stock, other than the Wilhelm scream.
Actually, I don't think I noticed the Wilhelm scream in this movie, which...
It wasn't.
Yeah, so... A lot of movies do throw it in there, just for the sake of having it in there.
I think it was in one... Wasn't it in, Fanboys?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So we got the DVD of this movie for... just because it was a Nick Cage movie, we thought it might be at least fun to watch.
It was cheap.
But because of that, we got to see 2 different endings. The theatrical version and the alternate ending.
They were equally stupid, but one took a little bit longer.
I like the theatrical version just because it sort of just ends right after that one moment.
Yeah, it's more pessimistic. But it's also shorter.
At least the movie's done after that.
It's like, I don't want to see that. That's kind of sad and, not very nice. But at the same time, it means I don't have to watch it anymore. During the alternate ending, one line, they escape the cops and get into this gated community or something. This gated hobo community. Not hobo, but
they get
shantytown.
Huge gathering of people that you can only get in a Hollywood film.
and is like, "Someone please help us! This man killed whatever the
The
villain's
gang
name was.
lord, yeah. Surat or something like that.
Sherak, I think.
Yeah.
And
then one guy
and
walks
one
up.
guy's like, Surak was a bad man. It's a good thing he died. Yay! And then fade to after they've healed their wounds and Nick Cage is leaving. Bangkok Dangerous, everyone.
See you next week.
And then
he
has the audacity to escape by, get this, taking off his jacket and gently walking into a crowd. And then the cops stop following him. They can't find him. He steals a guy's baseball cap and a random camera that's probably like $2,000 or $3,000.
It's because Nick Cage plays Assassin's Creed.
You just blew my mind.